So have you noticed, since you do treat children as well, an increase in damaged brains that you can attribute to marijuana use?
Absolutely. An increase from when we started.
So that seems like a public health concern.
It's totally a public health concern. We should be completely freaked out. And people are like, marijuana is innocuous. And it's like, why are you saying that?
Because
when
they're
it
getting
increases,
rich from it, probably.
Well, the marijuana industry, which hates me, spends $3 billion a year on marketing.
So how are they different from the Sacklers at Purdue Pharma then? Like lying to people about the health effects of the drug they're profiting from. I mean, it seems like the same.
It's a weapon of mass destruction.
Marijuana. And the weed industry hates you?
Of course.
Have they attacked you?
All the time.
Really? What do they say?
If I post something on one of my social media sites, they'll call me a charlatan and hysterical and that I should get high. And they should take my medical license and all sorts of things.
Take your medical license?
Yeah. Because they'll do anything to try to shut me up. But it's like, how do you not talk about the truth? And it's like, well, how do you know? It's like, well, I look at the brain. And if your brain is not right, well, you're not right.
Yeah. I just didn't know until we had breakfast a minute ago that kind of damage was or any kind of damage to the brain was more subtle damage, not, head injury damage, but damage from drugs, for example, was detectable on a brain scan.
Yeah, so interesting. So SPEC, the study we do, gives you this really beautiful 3D look at activity. And a healthy scan shows full, even, symmetrical activity, with most of the activity being in the cerebellum. So the cerebellum is the back bottom part of the brain. Cerebellum is Latin for little brain. And it's 10% of the brain's volume, but has 50% of the brain's neurons. And alcohol is directly toxic to the cerebellum. Well, so is marijuana. And that's why you shouldn't drive when you're high.
And so what happens in the cerebellum?
So many interesting things. It's sort of the Rodney Dangerfield part of the brain. It gets no respect.
This would be the lower brain we refer to, not the higher brain.
Well, it's so important because it's connected to the rest of the brain. And it used to be thought that the cerebellum was involved in coordination, physical coordination. Well, now we know it's also involved in thought coordination, how quickly you can integrate new information. And marijuana slows the function of the cerebellum, so your thoughts become slower and you're less coordinated, which is why you shouldn't drive if you're high.
Interesting. That was all kind of known when I started smoking marijuana. Right around 1982 or 81. And it was like the classic profile of the stoner. Hey, man, slow, molasses pace, cadence to the language, droopy eyes, eating lots of snack food, kind of not doing anything. Like people sort of knew even then when weed was way less potent than it is now that it slowed you way down. But that's because it slows your brain down.
Because it slows your brain down. It certainly alters your brain. It works on CB1 receptors. So there are cannabis receptors in your brain, endocannabinoid receptors, and it activates dopamine, which means you feel high.
Yep.
It feel rewarded, want to do it again.
For sure.
And in vulnerable people, it actually disrupts dopamine. So it doesn't work consistently, effectively. And if it disrupts it, if it goes too high, then for vulnerable people, you can become psychotic. You can begin to lose touch with what's real and what's not real. So if you think of psychosis, that's the definition of psychosis, is you begin to have trouble differentiating what's real and what's not. You might have delusions, hallucinations, and it triggers psychosis that in some people will turn into schizophrenia, which is arguably the worst psychiatric illness.
Arguably the worst illness there is, period. I can't think of anything worse than that.
No, it's awful. And so why would you use something if you didn't know your genetic risk that could flip you into not knowing what's real or not?
Because you had no idea it was risky?
And you don't love your brain. See, I heard President Trump talk at the Department of Justice. He had a conversation with the Mexican president about why Mexico exports drugs, but they're not a big drug-using country. So I thought was really interesting. And she said, well, family's really important to us. And he's like, well, family's important to us. And she said, and we have a wicked drug education campaign. And he's like, oh, we should do that. And so I wrote my friend at the White House. I'm like, you have to teach people to love their brain first before you tell them something's bad for them. Because as soon as you tell them something's bad for them, they want to do it, right? In the book of Genesis, God says, don't eat from the tree. The next scene, they're eating from the tree. So if I was God, and I never try to play God, but if I was God and I was counseling God, I'd like, tell them if they eat from the tree, she's going to have to wear clothes and that they're going to get kicked out. It's like, tell them, ask them what they want. And then, well, what's the consequences? And so the first thing is teach them to love their brains.
Yes.
And if you love it because it controls everything you do, well, why would you hurt it unless you were not that smart? But you got to have that foundational step. I call it brain envy. I always say Freud was wrong. Penis envy is not the cause of anybody's problem. You gotta love your brain. It's the only organ in your body where size really does matter. It's your brain.
So Christmas is almost upon us. Before you get caught up in all the shopping and the presents and the travel, it's worth reminding yourself of why we're doing this in the first place, because of Jesus, his birth. That's what Christmas is. And that's one of the many reasons that we recommend the Hallow app, which is amazing. So this Advent, experience the same peace that Mary found in her Bethlehem manger through Hallow's Pray 25 Advent Challenge. The whole program revolves around quiet and calm, being still. All of us, especially me, could use more of that, spending less time on to-do lists and online, and more time in prayer and silence with God. Psalm 49, be still and know that I am God. That is the idea behind this prayer challenge. We're going to follow along in my house every day. We talk about it every night. Dive into the story of the Nativity like never before. Experience the stillness of the Holy Family amidst the chaos and busyness of the world. Get 3 months for free of Hallow at hallow.com/Tucker and get ready for the most peaceful, peace-filled Christmas ever. hallow.com/Tucker. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.